Alright, so today's topic of discussion in the Twin Talk is the Yamaha R3 or any 300cc bike for that matter. So, there's been a lot of discussions, a lot of topics online about 300s being mopeds, being big groms, not being a real bike, etc., etc., etc. And me and my brother kind of never really gotten any flack for some reason, and I think the reason being is our riding kind of speaks for itself. So we go hard on them, we go fast, and you're gonna call me out, I guess. Let's go ride. So here is my pros and cons list to owning a 300cc bike. Got the pros and the cons to the 300 here. So we're gonna start on the pro side of it, just because this is only the start of the list, and we're actually gonna touch point on each one a little bit more because they are all really key points as to why we went with the 300 and into a new market. So they're cheap, easy to learn on, lightweight, they have great stunt power, they're the same length as a full-size motorcycle, and they're reliable. Going over on the con side of things, low horsepower, everybody's, they're used to the big 600, so they are down on power, you can't deny that, it's only a 300. Get made fun of, that's what everybody's always afraid of. They're afraid of the bash post, they're afraid that they're going to say they're riding a moped per se or whatnot, but me and my brother, we don't get much flack. We don't seem to have any haters come out because we ride them hard. So if you're gonna ride a 300, you do have to ride it hard. You gotta be sure that you're able to hang with the boys. So you may get made fun of a little bit, but those are haters. And then next part is new market. That's honestly the big con. It's something that we've actually been working on with our sponsors and other people to get parts, limited parts. So that being said, we'll jump back over to the pro side of things and kind of go over the bikes. So, we'll talk about being cheap, okay? Kind of break down the whole comparison from a 300 to a 600cc bike. So, you got your 300cc build, and you got your 600cc build. Everything is going to cost more on the 600. I'm talking insurance, I'm talking gas, right? So these 300s get crazy good fuel mileage. Even with the stunt gearing, we hardly put any gas in them. The maintenance on the 300, oil, just the amount. 600 is going to take 3-4 quarts of oil. This guy's going to take 1 quart, maybe 2 quarts of oil. So literally everything just breaks down more. Tires, right? Tires, low horsepower, less tires. More horsepower, more smoke, more tires. Brake pads, same thing. Higher speeds, more brake pad wear. So you go through more brake pads. Less over here, more over here. The overall cost of the bike, just buying it, okay? The 600 market today, you can go on Craigslist, okay? The old Craigslist or Facebook machine, buy a used 600cc stunt bike, rough shape. Okay, they're gonna cost anywhere from $2,500 to about $5,000, okay? I personally can tell you can find 300cc bikes. You're still going to pay, around that $2,000 to $3,000 range for a new bike, right? That's going to be an unmolested stunt bike. You're going to get your parts. The 300s don't need all the crazy stunt parts. That's where the whole next cheap part comes into, right? So you see these stunt builds. You see steel tube frames, steel tube subframes, all these crazy swing arm swaps, you name it. This 300, it's stock. The only crash components we have on here are the crash cage and the sub cage. That's it, nothing else. So, that being said, building the stunt bike, you already lose, $2,000 to $3,000 sometimes on a frame, right? Question mark. Your bike is now heavier, okay? And it costed you more. Doesn't make much sense to me. So, that's why I stay with 300. We got steel tube frames. They're actually super strong. One of the only pieces that we actually did break that wasn't stock is the rear sets. So I got my bike all apart right now, but you can see we got a billet rear set there. Kind of takes some of the impact away. I could keep going on and on about how the 600 just costs more to maintain and everything else, but you kind of get the picture. Alright, so next being easy to ride. A lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't have enough power to wheelie, this and that. That's a blunt lie, okay? So we geared ours to the moon. You can gear them less if you want them to stay streetable, but we'll even drift in, second, third gear drifts, no problem, right? So they got plenty of power to handle it, but then when I talked about that stunt power, right? So the stunt power is being usable power. So me and my brother do a lot of shows in super tight areas, not super bad areas. You know, the concrete's bumpy, there may be holes in the gravel, you name it. And that's where the stunt power comes into play. So we feel that we're able to ride these 300s just maxed out, okay? The power doesn't get away from you. You can clutch in and out of wheelies. You can literally ride this thing almost full throttle, and you know, the power is there. It wants to wheelie, but it also doesn't want to get away from you. So that's where my stunt power line that I kind of always use and refer to comes into play. As well as just, like I said, riding in tight show areas. These things, the video proves itself. We just posted. We did a 900cc and the R3 in my buddy's garage. The 900, nothing. Barely clutched it up, spun the tire, almost went through the wall. The 300, I mean, he was doing tank circles. He was climbing Ralph Louis, all over the place. I mean, it literally just shows you how much easier and more maintainable these bikes are to ride. Specific, the Yamaha R3 is the wheelbase and the length, right? So this bike is actually the same length as the R1. So when you get on this, it has the power characteristics of more of like a 250 Supermoto, maybe even a little bit more, but it's going to feel like your R1. So stoppies are going to feel the same, drifting's going to feel the same. You're going to feel like you're on a full-size motorcycle, to where you ride one of those mini bikes, the Groms, the 125 versions, the monkey bikes, if you will. They are small. You don't fit. I'm 6'1". I jump through the high chair, I ride backwards, I stand in my gas tank, I do it all. The R3 feels like a full-size motorcycle. So the last piece of the puzzle, everybody, on the pro side of things is reliable, or the reliability of this bike. So me and my brother have owned these bikes for 2 years now. We had a hour meter on the one, but it actually broke. But at the 1 year, we were rocking about 65 to 70 hours of ride time on the bike. That's not miles, that's ride time. I, however, have actually recorded the miles on my R3. It has been 450 miles when new. I now have, it's 2,800 miles on it, okay? And all of those miles in there were rev limiter, posters, burnouts. I don't think I ever just rode the motorcycle, like ever.
So pretty much all things that do in
All
the
things-
600 motorcycles.
Yeah, all things that do, you know, the 600 motorcycles foul, and I mean, I can personally experience it. I've had bikes blow up in the past, old 600s, and pretty much the stunt rider motto is when the bike blows up, you drop the motor, go on eBay or go on Facebook, hit the markets, and you find a used engine. Well, that's kind of, you know, hearsay. You know, some people think you should rebuild them, but stunt riders, you know, they really don't do that. However, these bikes, all of our Yamahas actually, but this bike, I'm just looking at the 300 in specific, we have done no internal work. So I'm gonna knock on wood, kind of just explain what we do to keep the bikes running and what we've felt works. So fresh gas is always good. Okay, it seems redundant, but don't put old gas in your bikes. Oil. So change the oil. We change it kind of, one might say, too soon. We do it every 5 to 10 hours of ride time. But we just feel that living off a rev limiter, why would you not change the oil? You know, it's cheap insurance. 2020, we're going to be rocking the liquid moly in our engines, and it's just proven to keep these things running. The coaster wheelies prove themselves. So keep the oils changed, keep up on your brake pads. But other than that, I mean, we literally don't do anything. We change the oil and the filter each time. We don't skip it. Change the oil and the filter every 5 to 10 hours, and that's about it. On the reliability side of it is also with building your own stunt bike and kind of getting a stock bike and going from there. You can follow our channel. You know, we have all the steps, how to do the tip over sensors, this and that. But where I'm going with this is on a new bike, you don't have weird issues. So over the past, 2.5 years of riding, we've done over 70 shows. You know, that's breaking down to now times that by 3. You know, you're looking at over 100 some performances a year, practice sessions, etc. This bike has never not started. The only time it did not start was when I left the key on all night long, and it's actually a borrowed battery from Road Track and Trail, and it made it a whole year and didn't start there at that show because I just have bad luck. I leave my key on at that show. But anything else, we've had literally zero issues. Just making sure all your cages are tight, staying on top of your regular maintenance, and these things have been bulletproof. The valves, we actually have stock. That's another thing, stock cam chain tensioners. Every single stunt bike in the market seems like you have to throw a manual cam chain tensioner. These bikes, stock everything in the motor, and that's kind of the testament right there that these bikes are good stunt bikes. They're proven. If you look up overseas, they're killing them over there. I mean, they kind of do crazier things on the R125s, the 250s, but this bike, true streetable 300cc stunt bike. Great if you're learning, great if you're experienced pro. I personally think that this bike is much more worthy of a stunt show or even a free ride atmosphere than a 600. However, the new 700s that are out there, those are pretty cool. The power spun on those, so definitely happy medium road of the stunt bike. If you love to do wheelies, you want to learn big tricks, you want to learn stoppies, shuffles, and you want to have fun with your friends for on the cheap, get a 300cc in specific. I like the Yamaha.